All right, so yesterday will go down in history as one of the most worthless days of the Obama presidency. Now, forget the economy. The president was busy with very important matters like welcoming the WNBA champions to the White House. And after that, it was off to New York City for an incredibly hard-hitting interview. No, not here at the Fox News Channel. Instead, the anointed one yucked it up with the biggest liberal of late night, none other than David Letterman. Now, it's always nice to see our president sharing some laughs with a guy who once viciously attacked Governor Sarah Palin's teenage daughter. Now, after the late night taping, our class warfare president attended a really nice fundraiser at one of the most famous luxury hotels, the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. Later, he visited a nightclub that's owned by Jay-Z for only $40,000. For only $40,000, you could have rubbed shoulders with the president and a rapper who has admitted to selling crack and shooting his own brother. And all of that, sadly, is a day in the life of President Barack Obama. Joining me now in studio with Reaction, Democratic strategist, the author of 52 Reasons to Vote for Obama, Bernard Whitman, and from the Washington Times, Kerry Pickett. All right, so he goes on Letterman. Well, let's just remind remember, Sandra Flock highlighted at the DNC. He calls her, I'm so sorry that the horrible things were said about you, but then he yucks it up with this guy.
One awkward moment, though, during the game. Maybe you heard about it. Maybe you saw it on one of the highlight reels. One awkward moment for Sarah Palin at the Yankee game. During the 7th inning, her daughter was knocked up by Alex Rodriguez.
His teenage daughter knocked up by Alex Rodriguez. Now, Sandra Fluck was a big issue. So tell me that that's not hypocrisy. Fluck versus Letterman. No?
No, it's not hypocrisy. David Letterman was making a joke. Rush Limbaugh was excoriating a young woman. Look, the fact is Mitt Romney ought to send Barack Obama a thank you note because Mitt Romney had the worst possible day in the world the day before the fact that Obama left him alone. Romney lost the presidency the day before.
Excuse me.
Come on.
Is that hypocrisy?
I think it's complete hypocrisy. Look, right now we're looking at Barack Obama going into his campaign mode. No, wait, hold on a second. He never went into campaign mode. He always was in campaign mode when he actually should have been governing. Look, right now we have the Middle East in complete shambles, thanks in part to Barack Obama's policy. Paris is burning practically at this point because we're seeing out there with the bombings. And what we're also seeing is an economy in complete shambles. Barack Obama doesn't know how to essentially balance both his governing and his campaigning.
This is a quiz. I don't need a long dissertation. Do you know what the national debt is now?
Yeah, it's about $15 trillion.
Wrong, 16.
It's almost going.
I said about 15.
Trillion.
Plus or minus in there.
Yeah, okay, plus or minus $1 trillion. What's $1 trillion to our kids? No big deal.
Look,
all right, so wait a minute. Hang on a second. Do you know what it was when Obama took office?
About 11.
Wrong, 10.
Again, plus or minus. I'm pretty good at that.
Okay, so
but you know what? At least he knows what the deficit was. Obama did not know.
Right, well, let's go to Letterman last night. Here's the president that gave us $6 trillion in new Obama debt. Let's see how he answers this really tough question that Letterman threw at him.
Now, do you remember what that number was? Well, was it 10 trillion? Was it that?
I don't remember what the number was precisely.
Right.
Not precisely. Don't you think a president that is accumulating? He said Bush was unpatriotic and irresponsible for $4 trillion in 8 years. He's going to give us $6 trillion.
Sean, can we deal with some facts?
Can I ask you a question, or are you going to just answer a question I didn't finish? He gave us $6 trillion in 4 years. Bush unpatriotic for $4 trillion in 8 years. What's wrong with that picture?
Let's deal with the truth. The truth is that spending under Ronald Reagan and George Bush grew at 6 times the rate that spending did under Barack Obama. So you can hurl these assaults at...
Hurl these assaults?
Yeah.
Did the president right now has the deficit gone up?
The deficit has gone up.
$5.5 trillion under.
The deficit has gone up, and job creation has also gone up.
Are you capable of listening? Is it up $5.5 trillion under Obama? Yes or no?
Approximately, yes.
Approximately.
And at the same time, we've created 4.6 million private sector jobs.
Did he promise he'd cut the deficit in half, Mr. Talking Point?
Yeah, that's one of the few promises he actually hasn't delivered on. If you actually look, 3 and 4 promises Barack Obama made were delivered on in the last 3.5 years.
Are there more Americans working or less since he took office?
There are 4.6 new private sector jobs.
Talking point.
It's not a talking job. It's a
private sector. I'm talking about the whole economy.
Manufacturing has grown.
Are there more Americans working or less since he took office?
I have to say there are less Americans working at this point, unfortunately.
You notice these guys, you are like a brain-dead, lobotomized, walking, talking point
You know what,
zombie.
you know why you're so upset? You know why you're so upset, John? Because Mitt Romney has turned into the American Borat.
You sound like
every single time he opens his mouth. Every time he opens his mouth, he either insults the Americans, half the country, he insults the Brits, or he tells Iran that they should launch a dirty bomb. I mean, this guy is not serious, and he basically has now contributed to your losing the Senate as well as the presidency. It's sort of shocking. I'd be upset if I were you too.
You gotta stop lighting candles at the picture of Obama every night. I gotta go.
Are you looking to the future? You lost
Frank
the Senate.
Luntz, his focus group on swing state voters next.